Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Miranda, and I am here with Bshara Nassar. I will be hosting this conversation today, and I'll just introduce myself real quick. I am a fine art painter, illustrator, and jewelry designer. I've worked with the International Solidarity Movement, both in and out of Palestine since 2006. And I'm here today to talk to Bshara, and we're going to talk about art and Palestinian crafts and activism, supporting the Palestinian economic development, which is an area that activists frequently overlook. And we are going to talk about how you can get involved. So, Bshara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, well, thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time, and for Dean for this invitation to be with you today. So my name is Bshara, and a little bit about myself. I am originally from Bethlehem, Palestine, the real Bethlehem, not the one in Pennsylvania, the real one in the West Bank in Palestine. And I was born in Jerusalem, and now I live in the United States. And I actually wanted to start sharing like my screen to show you some how I grew up, and a little bit more about my family, and what I'm doing right now. So let me just share my screen. All right, so as I said, I grew up in Bethlehem, and one of the actually most fun things I grew up doing is playing soccer, or we call it football, and as you see, this is not me, but it's an image of boys playing on the streets. I used to play on the streets of Bethlehem. I grew up, really in love with soccer, and wanting to always be out there, and the other image is also in school. So I consider myself, I grew up in as a normal childhood, going to school, and playing soccer, and really growing up in Bethlehem. As you can see from my screen, it's this is the Nativity Square, where you see in the back the Nativity Church, and you can see also on your left a mosque, which shows the Palestinian Christian and Muslim living together. And that's one of this image shows the Christmas Eve, which is the 24th of December in Bethlehem, where scouts are marching, and at the night, where we have a lot of fireworks and celebrations and prayers at the Christmas Eve. And this is how I grew up. This is growing up in Bethlehem. Of course, growing up, as I said, this is the normal life, and I didn't realize that something was going on in Bethlehem, or in Palestine in general, until I was 12 years old. And that was when the second intifada happened. And the second intifada, which is called the uprising, where the Israeli government reoccupied the West Bank. And this is where I start to realize, like, oh, there's something wrong, like because what happened at that time is that as I was playing soccer in the streets with my friends and neighbors, all of a sudden I could not go out to the street. And my mom said, my parents was like, Bshara, you should stay in. You cannot go outside. And I started questioning. I started saying, well, why can I go outside? Like, one day that all changed. And the reason why, because there was curfew. There was curfew in Bethlehem for almost 40 days. And that really affected me a lot, as really broke the normacy of who I am, right? And just being stuck at home for 40 days, and that where I start to question and be aware of what's happening in Palestine in general. And this is actually some images from Bethlehem. As you see, there is the checkpoints. There is the wall, the wall, the separation, or the apartheid wall, as we call it. It's it's cutting Bethlehem from Jerusalem. Growing up in Bethlehem, I could not go to Jerusalem freely, as I needed a permit to go to Jerusalem, even though I was born in Jerusalem. And so as you see here, these are the images of checkpoints crossing to Jerusalem. As you can see, actually, this is my cousin here, who's also a Palestinian American, who were able to write some graffiti on the walls. As you see in this image, this is like a neighborhood that's separated from farms, and this is what usually happened with life in Palestine, where the Israeli government come and say, well, we're gonna separate the land from its people. And as you can see clearly, the land here with the olive trees are separated from their owners, from these houses here. There's a tradition of artists, since we're speaking about art here, to paint on these walls. And as you see from Bethlehem, Merry Christmas from Bethlehem Ghetto, and there's so many art expressions and messages that artists have left throughout the years on this wall, as it was built in 2000. So it's been almost 25 years at the existence of the wall here. This is my family farm, and I also grew up on my family farm, which is outside of Bethlehem. And this is just a little bit, a few miles outside of Bethlehem, where my family had this farm since 1916. And just a little bit history about the Palestine and the Middle East, that in 1916 the Ottoman Empire was there, and actually they were there for almost 400 years. So when my great-grandfather bought the land in 1916, back then there was the Ottoman Empire, right? And usually when people would sell land, they would sell it in a handshake, usually at that time, right? So my great-grandfather managed to do two things that were smart at that time. One, to get papers to prove the ownerships of the land. And second, he registered the whole amount of the land, because back in the Ottoman Empire, the Palestinians used to pay taxes. That's an imposed by the Ottoman Empire. So if you have 100 acres, you would register 10 acres to avoid paying taxes. Again, my great-grandfather was able to register all the land, and that's one of the reasons, this is one of the ways that Israel could take Palestinian lands. If they would come and say, well, you registered 10 acres, we're going to take the rest of the 90, the rest, right? So you have Ottoman Empire, then the British came, and then Jordanians were in the West Bank, and then Israel reoccupied, and the whole Palestine, the West Bank, and what's Israel now, right? And so in 1991, when the Israeli government came and declared this land as a state land. This is my family. As you see the hill, you don't see from this image, but there's settlements that surrounding this piece of land. And the goal was for the Israeli government to say, well, this is our land, I mean their land, right, to build a settlement. So my father and my uncles, went to the court immediately and said, well, we have papers to prove the ownership of this land. unfortunately, as you might know, papers are not always, you know, the good thing, the best thing, because until today, my family has been in the Israeli court. They went from the military court to the Supreme Court. Right now, actually, after 24 years, I mean 34 years, they're still in the courts. They're still there. The case is being postponed, and currently, actually, it's in the it left the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said finally, I think 3 years ago, they said this land belongs to the Nassar farm, Nassar family. And now it's back to the military court. And the military court, since for the last 3 years, have been postponing the case and not giving a definite answer. So anyways, this is my, you know, how my family story. But one of the things that my family did is to create an art in the couple of things. One is an environmentally sustainable farm to bring people together, bring internationals from all over the world to learn about the family, to learn about the farm, to learn about the occupation, under the message that we refuse to be enemies. And for my family, it's the importance of the Christian faith, as my family is coming, as family is Christian, and we believe that this is what Jesus said. This is Jesus' message, is that Jesus said we refuse to be enemies, right? Jesus said in the Bible, it says love your enemy. And so this is one of the messages of my family, the philosophy of the farm, and living authentically, to have people over, to create, despite of the oppression, to create to build you know, cisterns, and to renovate caves, to you know, despite of turning frustrations into something positive, and bringing kids, traumatized kids from Bethlehem and from the West Bank, to do artwork in the farm. This is just one of the images of the farm. It was burned several times by the settlers. It's been, my family has been attacked so many times to try to take them away from their lands. Moving on, you know, I came to the United States. So I always tell this story to you know, people and visitors, people I interact with, because my family's story is what inspired me. My family's resilience and resistance in Bethlehem, and their existence in that land, have really inspired me to keep continuing doing the work of justice, right? And continuing doing, advocating for Palestinians wherever I am. So one of my what I'm involved in is the Museum of the Palestinian People. You know, and the story is that I came to the United States in 2011, and as any visitor coming to the city, I was really impressed by museums and monuments and memorials. Of course, as you know, DC is a home for Smithsonians, and we have the African American Museum, for example. We have the Holocaust Museum. We have the Native American Museum. But at the same time, I couldn't find a place to tell my story as a Palestinian. And so that's how the idea of the museum came about, in creating a place where Palestinians can share their stories, can share their art, can share their culture with people, with Americans, to talk about our history that goes back to thousands of years, but also to highlight Palestinian Americans who are you know, involved with many aspects of the US or the American societies, or you know, including politicians, entrepreneurs, artists, and so forth. You know, we started as a traveling exhibition, and this exhibition started to go around the country, and eventually this is the space that we got. It's one of the floors at the bottom here, in the heart of Washington, DC. We opened the museum. This is one of just images of our team. And, this is actually when we started. This is the renovation. We opened the museum in 2019. Since then, we've had thousands of visitors coming in. We had hosted many artists and many exhibitions. This is one of our one of our first art pieces that we put, which is about reimagining a future. And we purposely started with this exhibition to invite Palestinians and Americans alike to reimagine a different future in Palestine, a future where, where there is no oppression, there is justice, there is freedom, right? And especially freedom for us Palestinians are so important. And as you see here, this is the sun of justice, right? And the wall is cracked and it's actually broken, and the sun is coming in as a sign of one day it's a hope, right? It's an image of hope for a future that we can live into. These are just one of the exhibitions. This is the grand opening. We invite you. I know you're in Boston, but we invite you to come to DC if you get a chance. We actually had several guests from Boston that came to the museum. We offer tours Fridays and Saturdays. Other days we do private tours. So if you're coming to DC, please let us know. We'd love to have you in the museum. These are just websites and all of that. But this is just quickly my story, and I know Katie has a lot of questions, and I wanna maybe stop here and maybe kind of give the opportunity to Katie to ask some questions here.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Bshara. I've never seen pictures of your family's farm before, so that was really great to see. It's very beautiful. So the first thing we're going to jump into now is we're going to talk about Palbox. Now, Palbox is a quarterly subscription box that I founded in 2016. It is the first subscription box focused on Palestinian products produced in Palestine, and it also contained my jewelry. Palbox is delivered to your door once per quarter. And I handed off Palbox to Bshara and his wife Kirsten about 6 months ago. So Bshara, can you give us an update? Can you tell the audience about what you've been doing with Palbox for the last 6 months?
Yeah, it's been an exciting journey. As thank you so much for this opportunity, Katie, to allow us to to work on this amazing project. My wife and I have really enjoyed every bit, and it really in the last 6 months we actually traveled to Palestine few months ago, last summer, and we visited a lot of artists, a lot of farmers, a lot of artisans. We talked to them about Palbox, between farmers, between people who do coffee, between coffee factory. We've been talking to them. They've been very excited. So we've been kind of fostering these relationships with these farmers and artisans, because really the goal is to support these farmers, as they don't have a way of getting their products outside the United States. That's coming from a farming family. Like, I understand, like, my family cannot really, they have been doing a lot of products, but it's very hard to even sell them in the Palestinian market, and it's very hard to take them outside, because there's a lot of a big process of importing and packaging and all of these processes that has to come in. And I think this is where Palbox come in, is to make it easier for these artisans and these farmers to get their stuff out. Of course, it's not easy and it's not cheap. And even at our side, we just got a shipment from Palestine, where it was held by the Israeli customs for over a week. You know, it was delayed in being shipped. So yeah, this is what's the goal, and we're very excited.
What's in the current box?
Yeah, this is a great question, Katie. Thank you. So the current box have olive oil, which is 700 ml Palestinian olive oil from Nablus or Jenin. It has Arabic coffee. Actually, let me share my screen. Maybe that's just for people, to see. That's maybe easier.
Yeah.
So here's the website. It's palbox.org. And as you see, there's olive oil. There is coffee. This is a brand new coffee called Palestine coffee. It's an Arabic coffee or Turkish coffee.
Arabiya.
Kahwa Arabiya, exactly. As you see here, Kahwa Arabiya. And this is actually, there is a recipe of how to make Arabic coffee in our current newsletter.
Awesome.
Yeah, and this is your jewelry. This is Katie's jewelry, which is she actually did it specifically for this quarter, and you can talk more about it, if you would like. But this is your jewelry. It's a success silver earring. I've seen it in person. This image does not give it justice. I mean, it's amazing.
It's sterling silver with blue and white sapphire beads.
Wonderful. And then we have a postcard from a local. We're through this postcard, we're supporting a local Palestinian vendor store. Actually, his store, it was just next to the wall. So you step out of the store and it's next to the wall in Bethlehem, next to the Waldorf Hotel, which is also Banks's hotel in Bethlehem. Very, very good people. We were able to support them and get these postcards from their store. Summak is a very well-known spice in Palestine. It has really good. It's very tasty. It goes over chicken, over hummus, anything like that in cooking, and it's very, very healthy.
And put it on salad too with olive oil.
So yeah, this is to answer your questions. These are the items in Palbox.
Awesome. And can you tell people how they can subscribe to Palbox?
Yes.
And how they can get 10% off their next box?
Yes. So to subscribe, you can go on palbox.org and you can just click get started. You can sign in with the quarter, 1 quarter or 4 quarters. And we are going to, just for this audience, we're going to give you 10% off, which is if you put the code let me see, Palbox 10, you will get 10% off. And maybe Katie, you can send that code with the presentation.
Yeah, sure. So if you go to palbox.org and you pick your subscription, you can subscribe either pay per quarter, or you can prepay for a year's worth of boxes. That's 4 boxes, and you get a discount if you do that. And if you use the code Palbox10, you will get 10% off your first box. Palbox10.
But if you pay for the whole thing, you get 10% off the whole thing.
Yeah. So it's actually better to pay for it up front because you save up front.
You save the whole thing, yeah.
So what are some of the obstacles around getting Palestinian products into American markets? You talked about the customs. What are some other obstacles that Americans would not typically think of when they think of a supply chain and importing products from one country to another? What are some
Well,
of the product problems that are unique to Palestinian products?
the is that unique to Palestinian products. I mean, it's actually, you know, you have checkpoints in Palestine, and you know, there's always questions of what's inside these products, and there's always suspicious of like, oh, what are these products, why are they coming out? Because what really Israel is trying to do is to promote the Israeli products. That's why when you go to Whole Foods or when you go to Costco or whatever, or Giant, you always see Israeli products, and they question, oh, where is the Palestinian products, right? And that's why, because Israel has been, you know, always giving the ease to Israeli farmers, Israeli producers to go and get their products outside of Palestine. But they impose taxes, they impose delays, they impose fees, and sometimes flat, not allowing any Palestinian products to leave to leave Palestine. So so that's main obstacle, and of course it's very hard to find Palestinian products in the United States, which
Yeah,
is
so
something I'm working on, is to get more Palestinian products in stores. Go ahead, Kate.
that's awesome. And I want to segue now into talking about why this is so important from an activist perspective. So there is a lot of disillusionment amongst activists supporting Palestine, because you know a lot of us, like me for example, I've been working on this since 2006, and looking back, it's actually gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. So people tend to get disillusioned, they get depressed. But here's the thing, Palestinians don't have the option to get disillusioned or to stop resisting.
Mm.
And by resisting, I mean just existing in Palestine. So if you, as an American or, you know, maybe an international, a non-Palestinian, let's say, if you're feeling like, oh, nothing's getting better, there's nothing I can do, I want you to just stop yourself there and put yourself in the position of someone who was born and raised in Palestine, like Bshara and his family. And they don't have the luxury to get disillusioned and stop, you know? So if you ever want a chance to contribute, like now is your chance. We just gave you the website, Bashara gave you a coupon for 10% off. So you can subscribe to Palbox and you can contribute to the movement that way, because a lot of times the political activists, the activists on the ground, or the people who are doing campaigns and letter writing and organizing, they forget the economic aspect of Palestine. And it's very easy to support that. You can just subscribe to Palbox. Do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you for that, Katie. No, this is very good, very touching that you said that. And you're right, we don't have option. It's you know, and we are so privileged. I mean, for even for me as a Palestinian American, now I have a US, I'm also privileged because on a daily basis I don't deal with the Israeli occupation. But you know, when I call my family and you know my mom, my dad, I get reminded, like, oh my God, this is what, even when I go there, I'm going there this summer. I'm going there to be with my family, right? And I get reminded of like, oh, I have to go through an Israeli checkpoint. I have to go through Jordan, right? I'm not allowed to go to Tel Aviv, right? As an American, right? So it's thank you for saying that. It's very touching, and it's so true. It's so true, Kate. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll switch back now to the museum. I want to hear a little bit more about that. What is your current exhibition there?
Yeah, the current exhibition right now is we have an exhibition that's drawing. It's called The Art of the Weeping. It's drawing 50 artwork drawn by an artist called Mary Hasboun. She is a Chicago-based Palestinian artist, and actually the exhibit is to uplift Palestinian women voices and to give a voice to Palestinian women who's been living under occupation, but also give voices to Palestinian women who as Palestinian society, it's a patriarchal society, so giving equality and giving voice to these women. And Mary is from she's Palestinian, grew up in Bethlehem, and then she immigrated to Chicago, I think almost 20 years ago, and currently living in Chicago. The upcoming exhibition is starting at the end of this month, which is about embroidery. It's our collection that we've been collecting for the last 5 years, where many Palestinian and Americans have been donating their dresses to the museum. We've been collecting them, and we are going to talk about to feature these dresses, where they come from, how they end up being in the United States, and it's especially very important because this year is 75 years of Palestinian displacement. As Palestinians were displaced in 1948, that was 75 years. 700,000 Palestinians were displaced, and when Israel was created. So we are commemorating that with these dresses. We're talking about dresses bring a lot of cultural, artistic, and a heritage where this is our heritage. This is how we used to dress, right, in Palestine, and especially women. And before 1948, this is what existed, right? And so it's really important to highlight these dresses and to highlight that 75 years of dispossession.
How can people support the museum?
Yeah, so if you would like to support the museum, you can go on our website, which is the museum website, which is www.mpp-dc.org, and you can go there and give a gift or donate to the museum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bshara. Before we close, I want to give a shout out to somebody in the audience, my friend and colleague, Linda Cohen, who is there at the church. She is selling Palestinian products. She's still selling olive oil, other crafts. She's also selling my jewelry there. And Linda Cohen is a really amazing woman. She's a Palbox customer. So if you are at Boston at the church right now, you can go and talk to her about Palbox. She's a Palbox customer, and she was inspired to start a store, Olive Branch Fair Trade, which sells products mainly from Palestine, but from other places too. And it is one of the largest collections, if not the largest collection in the United States, of Palestinian crafts for sale. So I just want to make a big shout out to Linda and thank her for her support over all these years. So thank you, Bshara, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate the time to be with you all, and your support and your solidarity is very important to us.
Thank you.